This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform where you can create a beautiful website. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Halfsoybean channel. My name is Sharon and today we are going to be making a Halloween costume. It is October. You already know what this is about. We are recreating a Squid Games costume and I'm going to be recreating the giant scary robot girl's outfit. She's wearing this orange dress and a Peter Pan collar shirt, and I thought it would be so fun to recreate. Even though the show was kind of a bit thrilling, kind of gory for my liking, I ended up binging it in one day. Anyway, I have this yellow fabric and I've got this orange fabric, and we are going to try and make this as simple as possible for ourselves. I really don't want this to take too long, so let's just get right into pattern making. Okay, so I think I want to start with the top just because I feel like it'll be a little bit more fiddly with drafting the Peter Pan collar and all that jazz, whereas the dress, it just seems kind of quite plain, and I don't think it'll be as time consuming to make. I always use this basic pattern. So this is like a front bodice pattern that I drafted a long time ago, and it's this 2-dart pattern. I'll leave a link in the description of how you can draft this. It's from a really good blog. And then I've also just got a corresponding back piece that I always use with the front piece. I had a standard sleeve piece pattern, but I obviously cut it up for something that I made a while ago. I can't remember what, but I must have been trying to make a puff sleeve. So that's the only reason why I can think of why I would have chopped this all up. And then I also have to draft a new Peter Pan collar pattern. And I usually always have a spare bias tape because you never know when it'll come in handy, and I think we're going to use this today as well. So this sleeve pattern is something very basic that I just copied from a t-shirt. All you really need to do is copy any basic sleeve and you should be able to adjust it to the sleeve hole of your bodice. To make the Peter Pan collar, firstly you want to trace your back piece. Just like the top half of it is fine. Measure 1.5 centimeters on this end. That, and then draw a line like this, and then you want to grab your front piece and line it up with the second line that we just drew. So right there, draw that curve. And the reason we don't do it any further is because then it'll be like really clunky here. So we want to smooth that line out a little bit. So now I want to draft like, let's say 8 centimeters and mark that around the entire edge. And then you just want to do like a little bit of a curve into that corner. Make some seam allowance, so let's just do 1 centimeter around the entire thing. So just except for this line, we want to do around the whole curve. Oops. So that's with our normal seam allowance, and then we just want to do one more along that outer edge, a few millimeters bigger. So let's say 0.5, 0.3, something like that. Now I just want to trace the piece that we just cut out. And with this one, we want to cut that extra seam allowance that we made again. Top collar, under collar. So this one's a little bit bigger than this one, which we just cut. Mark the shoulder seam here as well, a notch. put an extra cut here for the top one, like a little notch, just to show that it's the top one and not the bottom one. The first thing I want to sew, as usual, is the shoulder seams. So I just want to put them right sides together and connect these shoulders. At this point, we should have like kind of a top. Although the back is still open, we want to leave this aside for the time being and move on to the sleeves, which look like this. And I'm going to quickly put a temporary basting stitch along this curve because I think it'll have a little bit of a gather on the top here. I don't know how much exactly needs to come in to fit the exact circumference of the armhole of the actual top we just made. So I am just going to put in the basting stitch for now and then gather after I attach these edges to the armholes. That's our armhole there, and we want to attach right sides to right sides this sleeve piece. So I'm going to just start on the one side, sew that along, and then also start from the other side, sew that along, and attach whatever gathering we have to do in the center of the sleeve. So I think I'm just going to go and sew up the sides, underarm section, and also the side of the body. Promise, no spoilers in this video. The giant robot girl's name is actually Younghee, and if you're wondering where does this name come from, it's actually a name that always reoccurs in children's textbooks and books, and the girl is usually always called Younghee and the boy is always called Tosu. So you can think of it like kind of like a Jane Smith, John Smith kind of vibes. And the robot appears in the game, which is translated as red light, green light in the subs. I guess it's the same rules as red light, green light, but it's actually called 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다 in Korean, and you would have heard that kind of creepy soundbite. She's like, 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다. 무궁화 is a flower, the Korean national flower, and 피었습니다 is blooming. I think 무궁화 in English is the rose of Sharon, or it's also like the hibiscus flower. I'm not entirely sure what it's in English, but I think that's what it was when I looked it up. And so it's like when the flower blooms, you look back and you're meant to like catch your friends who are moving, right? So that's kind of the premise of this whole thing. Okay, so now we are up to the collars. Connect one upper collar and one under collar. So I'm gonna sew down here, around here, around here. Same thing with the other one. Here, 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 around there. Because it's a curve, we just want to snip some of the seam so that we can flip it a lot easier. Flip it Now I'm going to understitch, so gather all of the inner seams to the underside of the collar, and I'm also going to sew a line along the underside. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out my website halfsoybean.com yet, but I've had so much fun setting it up in the last couple of weeks. I've tried to customize it to match my aesthetic and make it as cute as I can, and I've included oversized buttons, I've put in my custom fonts, I've put in little animations, and I'm so happy with how it's looking so far. And if you didn't know, I am also setting up a little store. I'll be releasing my first collection of lapel pins called Halfsoypins, and I'm so excited for all of that to be ready. But obviously a huge consideration was like, how do I even set up a e-commerce store? But Squarespace has taken care of all of that for me. I've been able to manage my inventory really easily. I've been able to set up secure payment systems and a very easy checkout system, and you know, I don't have to stress about any of that. The other thing I don't have to worry about is my website crashing and coming apart because it's not displayed on the correct mobile device, because all of Squarespace websites are optimized for mobile use, so it adjusts to any screen size you are viewing the website on. You can choose your custom domain name, and it's ad-free and it's private, so you don't have to worry about scaring people off of your website. If you're interested in setting up a website or a store or whatever it is, head on over to Squarespace to get a free trial, and when you're ready to go live with your website, go to squarespace.com/halfsoybean and you can get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain name. That's squarespace.com/halfsoybean, and thank you so much for sponsoring today's video. To close the back of the shirt, I'm going to have it inside out, so that's the inside and the back. Two panels are currently open, so I am going to sew a straight line all the way up, but then stop about 10 centimeters from the top because we need to be able to fit our head through the top. Then it should have like a little opening like this, and I'm just going to do a top stitch along here, here and here to finish that off. After you do the stitch, it should look like this. Pinned the collar, and the back looks like this, and we'll add some kind of, you know, enclosure here, but I just want to baste this to the top. Wrap everything, this raw edge, with the bias tape. So I'm going to open up my pre-made bias tape. I'm going to put it along here and then sew along this edge where the marking is already from the iron, and go all the way around. Sewed along that bias line, so now we want to fold it up and then turn it around, and we want to sew down just on that single layer of the top, this edge, so that we are encasing all of these raw edges that we just sewed together, and we want to do all the way around the whole top. Nearly done. I just need to hem the bottom and the sleeves and also figure out a button for the back enclosure, but I think I'm just gonna do like a little snap button. But first I will tackle the hemming just because it's a little bit easier for now. I have these snap fasteners from the dollar store, and I'm just going to use the smaller size, which is the 9mm one, and hand sew that onto the back of my top. So I'll just do that now. Just gotta pluck these off. Alright, so I'm looking at my reference picture here. Is it gonna focus? We're really right on track. With 360. Can't turn my head 360 like Young here, but you know, this is so cute. I would totally just wear this by itself, even if it's not part of the costume. Okay, it's time to tackle the orange dress part of the costume. I've got my orange fabric here, and I don't know, let's just get right into it. Okay, so if you know me, you know that I'm a bit of a lazy sewer, and if I can avoid doing things that I don't have to, I'm gonna do that. So with this dress, it's kind of fitted on the body, like it's a fit and flare kind of vibe, but honestly, I don't really feel like adding any zippers or button enclosures to this dress, so I think I'm gonna tackle it like a smock dress, so it's a little bit more roomier and I can slip in and out of it without adding any zippers. This is my front piece once again, and I'm just gonna quickly draft something. Shoulder strap should only be like half, like this, and then the neckline should start about here. Connect the curve. Same thing with the back. Use my front piece, kind of a guide. I think the back should dip even more than the front. Kind of make it like here's my back piece, my front piece. So same as how you would assemble anything else. Just want to sew the shoulders and then also the sides. Okay, so for the skirt, it's very easy. Rectangles, and we're gonna gather them. This is just the width of the fabric, and I've just cut it how long I want my skirt. Now it seems very long. Gotta shorten that. Oh, about 45 centimeters. This fabric width, I'm pretty sure is 112 centimeters. 112 by 45 times 2. So I'm gonna gather this for the front part of the skirt, and then I've got another rectangle for the back, and we're gonna join that so it's like a long piece and add it onto this top that we just made. Now I'm gonna run a gathering stitch on one end of the skirt too. It's like really long, so just along this edge, and we're gonna gather it. So now we want to put this front piece inside of this part of the skirt so we can attach the bodice and the skirt section together. I'm just going to sew this together. Having another look at the reference picture, and I feel like the neckline is a little bit more square, so I'm going to fix that before we finish off the dress. It's been a really easy process actually, and highly recommend. Now we're just gonna finish off all of the raw edges. So I'm gonna just use my trusty bias tape once again, and you wanna sew that along this edge. So you line it up with that folded part and sew along the inner edge all the way around the neckline, and then also you want to do the armholes as well. Once we've attached the bias tape onto the right side of the dress, you just want to flip that and fold it off to the other side, the wrong side that is, and sew that down so we have a nice clean edge on the right side. And now all that's left is just to hem the bottom of the skirt and we will be done. Enjoyed today's video of me trying to make the robot girl costume from Squid Games, and if you get a chance, please check out my website and also sign up to my mailing list to know exactly when my pins are dropping. And also a huge thank you to Squarespace. If you're interested in setting up your personal website, please go check them out, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye!